Hi and hello, and welcome to episode 68 of Going Over. I, of course, am Fred Slow. Alongside me is Saleh Taylor, and we're talking the world of pro wrestling, the world of the NWA New Mexico, and all things that surround pro wrestling as a whole. Saleh, welcome. How are you, brother?
I am moving. I am grooving. The bra is off. It's a good day, man.
Did you say the bra is off because you put on your grandma glasses?
Exactly. That's where I'm at. The bra's off. The granny glasses are on. I'm ready to work.
It did feel like a work week, right? And it's
Oh
kind of
man,
it's an interesting one in the world of wrestling. Like we do the monthly pro wrestling at the historic El Rey or otherwise, and it's a reoccurring TV product, and we haven't missed a month in the entirety of the time we're doing it. But we have a 6 week span here between the last show and the next show, and the next show May the 10th. So the calendar month of April does not have Duke City Championship Wrestling. The calendar month of April does not have pro wrestling provided by us. Now there is other pro wrestling alternatives in town. Phase One has a show that's going to be a lot of fun. That's time of terrestrial airing tonight. That's tonight, April the 5th. You can go see them. That's their own unique brand. You guys everyone kind of knows how they do their thing. I'm not going to be there. I have the Boys and Girls Club Blue Door Ball Gala that night, tonight, if you're listening terrestrially. So I'll be over at the Albuquerque Museum raising a bunch of money for kids. But that's like one of many examples, right? Like that's going on. Like I'm busy this Saturday. I can't do pro wrestling. Next Saturday, I have to be in Vegas for WrestleMania stuff. The Saturday after that, I have to be in Green Bay for NFL draft stuff. Like it didn't work out in that way. And Saleh, the reason I bring this all up is pro wrestling is like a thing you can't force, right? Like pro wrestling has to be able to come. Also, with how much pro wrestling there currently is, you boys are all working places. Like it is a trying time in the world of talent.
that is a beautiful fact, and I'm really happy to hear that. Also, a lot of my friends, a lot of my family are working. Within the next couple of weeks, Vegas is going to be the mecca of wrestling. Vegas is the hot spot. From starting after next week, it's non-stop shows leading up to it. You got also all these other shows. And our boys, I'm going to see some of my boys out there. And it's a beautiful time. But the very key thing that you said, you can't force it. There are some other people who's trying to have a show during WrestleMania weekend, not in Vegas. And that's a tough one to pull. But
that's a tough one to pull.
But I'm glad that they're giving people the option because pro wrestling live anywhere, because not everyone can make it to Las Vegas. No. So if you're gonna have something going on in your town, go and support, go and check them out.
You can support the pro wrestling that is WrestleMania, which is the mecca, of wrestling.
Yeah.
And you can do it with a watch party with Duke City Championship Wrestling, NWA New Mexico. The official WrestleMania watch party is at Uptown Sports Bar. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Ooh. Saturday and Sunday, go down there. It'll be hosted by Fernando Gonzalez and Rusty Rutherford. So how much fun. Those two cats will be out there. They've done about 1 million of those geeks who drink kind of things, So it's going to be a watch along. It's going to be fun giveaways. You can win definitely tickets to Duke City Championship Wrestling, definitely some merchandise. So that's going to be a super fun 2-night event over there at Uptown Sports Bar. So if you're a fan of watching pro wrestling with your friends, or if you want to get exposed to it for the first time and maybe you're only listening to the show terrestrially because you like UNI's banner, you can be a part of UNI's passion, and that is pro wrestling. I know I will be in Vegas at WrestleMania. I know you're working on getting out there yourself, so not necessarily will you and I be at the watch party, but a lot of familiar faces will be. So if so interested, Uptown Sports Bar, that is the 19th and the 20th, Saturday and Sunday night for WrestleMania watch party. It'll be a ton of fun, Saleh.
So although we won't have an official NWA New Mexico DCCW show this April, that doesn't mean we're not working. That doesn't mean our boys aren't working.
No.
We're, for those who are able to take the month and be around family and friends because we are able to take advantage of that, go ahead and have fun at that. For those who are going out to see some shows, go out, enjoy that. Those who go to the official NWA New Mexico DCCW watch party at Uptown Bar and Grill, go and be part of that.
Yeah, do that.
It's a beautiful thing. I hope and wish that everyone's going to be out there having fun. This is going to be quite a show, man. I feel that this final stretch that they got for WrestleMania has been turning up a bit, and they've been doing some really cool stuff, man.
Yeah, it's it's the whole culture of it right now, and you're able to follow, whatever stories you want to follow, and I think a lot of people are, right, like really intensely. If it's the Cody Rhodes stuff, or the CM Punk stuff, or the Seth Rollins stuff, or the Roman Reigns stuff, or the possibility of The Rock. And now all of a sudden, Chelsea Green is every story out of nowhere, and it's, you can find like your passion and interest because it's being provided to you,
Yes.
and as you're pursuing it, you're obtaining it. And, I think those rewards are so wildly important in fandom. You're not always wanting, and if you were to ask me in the world of professional wrestling and promoting and booking, yeah, I would tell you, I want your favorite wrestler to lose 11 out of 12 months. I want your favorite wrestler to, go under, so many times that when the time does come for them to finally find their success, it's in a really special moment, and that's this time of the year for a lot of these individuals' favorite performers, if they're, good guys, like whatever. I mean, if your favorite, I mean, you're watching for different reasons then, but yeah, it's how do you tie them all off? And then you get about 20 hours of rest, and then they start their quote unquote brand new season, the Raw after WrestleMania, and that thing's crazy too. So it's just April is a start. It's like the Super Bowl and the kickoff of the new season all in the course of 1 month, and it's about as good as it gets in this industry.
I'll agree with you on that one. Here's a little thing I want to gain your perspective on.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we quote Chuy Martinez all the time when he says, as a whole, as a production company, as a wrestling promotion, we're not telling stories, we're telling chapters.
Yeah.
One of the greatest things I heard, man. I love that. But you still have the individual characters going through each of their journeys. Some of them, the way we see it, where a story has what we call a going home, or payoff or something. How important is it that on such a big show that you don't wrap up all these storylines per se
At once,
or should you, like, all right, some of these stories like has a part where, all right, this is a good thing to end with in such a big event. I want to see what you think. Like, with the event going on, how much of these stories do you see like, all right, they're wrapping up?
Well, you have to be careful to not give a jumping off point to your audience, right? Like, you don't want there to be, do you remember the end of Back to the Future 2, whenever they hit them with "to be concluded"?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and then I think they released Back to the Future 3 like 6 months later. It was like a weird marketing thing or whatever. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't want your audience to feel like they're not getting the end of stories, and you don't want them to feel like they're not currently in the middle of stories all the time. Like, so you have to like constantly be building those things. This is my opinion. This is my entertainment. And to me, if you are going to put a go home or a button on the end of a story, you have to make sure that you're at the absolute climax of another. So like that's kind of a perspective I've always had, where it's like, if you have a really big moment, like in the advancement of a story, you're definitely going to have the conclusion of another one as well. And that's going to allow you to reset. Because I might be wrong here, but I think you can't really expect a single individual to be wholeheartedly invested in more than like 3 storylines at a time. I think 3 is like the special number, and you can run more. You can run 5, you can run 7, you can run 9, you can run whatever, but you can't expect someone to be invested in all of them simultaneously, and they're going to pick and choose, which ones they want. And I think a lot of that picking is going to be based on the effort that's put in to telling those stories, the effort that's putting into the performers in those stories. So I don't necessarily think it's balanced, but I think that is like the cap.
Well, you got different people who like different things, that they resonate with certain things. You got the broken-hearted best friend who was trying to look out for her bestie, but wasn't adhering to the caution. So like the Naomi. So now you got the Blackheart Naomi going on right now. Like, she's in her own heart phase. Oh God, I missed that one. That's a great one. You got CM Punk, who's on his hero's journey. To him, he's been talking about this for years. The biggest dream of his dream, being able to main event, headline WrestleMania. going on in there. Then you got Roman Reigns, who just wants to hurt Seth Rollins. Like different stories resonate with different people. And I love the option of such, but it actually makes sense. I like how you said, like, for someone to be totally invested in more than three, that's very unlikely.
Yeah. I'm not saying it doesn't exist for some people.
No, yeah,
it does. It does. But like, I'll just give you an example. WWE recently, in my opinion, kind of fumbled the New Day heel turn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but that was the thing. I couldn't have been more interested in the beginning. I thought that was at or near one of the most exciting like storylines they had going, and then it petered because the balance wasn't there in the telling, which is great. Yeah, I mean, for what's the best way to say this? Which is great for those people who really like those long burns, those slow developments.
Yeah.
But not everything can be the same pace. Some things have to be fast. Some things have to be one-offs. Some things, have to move at a quote unquote premium live event to premium live event pace. Because I don't always want an entree. Sometimes I want an appetizer. Sometimes I want dessert. It's give me variety, give me option as a consumer. I think
it seems like WWE having to experiment with trying to increase viewers for their weekly shows.
Mm-hmm.
They've been changing titles a lot on Raw and on SmackDown lately because they need to increase the viewerships on that. That has been like kind of like adding another thing to their storytelling abilities, but also it's a double-edged sword where you're, for the sake of viewership, for the sake of getting a pop in ratings, you kind of sacrifice something. You had to force a hand. Rhea Ripley being without a title kind of like lulled her a bit, but now she's back. Now that she's back in with the whole Io Sky thing, and like that's great. Putting her back on a chase immediately was a good call, but when that couple of weeks after she lost the title was just weird.
The people who can do it without a title are, especially in the women's game, like limited. Charlotte Flair's one. She didn't need one. Like her presence is there. She's a bad dude. Like she's that girl. Zelina Vega. Like, you don't have to put one. Anytime you put her on the screen, like exactly what you're gonna get. You're gonna get like a weird go at it kind of thing. The Liv Morgan, she's better with it. I don't think she has to have it. I think Becky Lynch needs one. I don't think Becky Lynch is overly convincing to me outside of having a title, but it's not all of them. But again, that's what you do, right? So like using like Jey Uso for an example. Jey Uso is over as it gets. Jey Uso with the yeet, with the arm thing, with the turnbuckle thing in WWE doesn't necessarily know how he's going to react to being in that position. What is he in now? Like a year? Has he been in it like a year? Does that seem about right to you?
Yeah.
It may be a little bit longer if you go back to the Bloodline stuff and him and Roman Reigns and the holiday season with the I hate you stuff. You might even be able to say it's 2.5 years. That's
have it breaking away from the Bloodline storylines. It's been about a year.
Yeah, it's been about a year because he wrestled his brother at the Royal Rumble in Tampa, and that was terrible. And then it got a little bit better there at WrestleMania, like you mentioned. And to me, anyways, the point I'm trying to get to is you could forecast this WWE into oblivion on that. You're like, oh, we can ride this hotness forever or whatever, but you don't know how Jay's going to react. You don't know, that stuff weighs on you. If you got to be up early for TV and late for TV and you got to make appearances in media, and you saw the WrestleMania stuff, it's X amount of dollars to meet these people. Before you know it, they're not eating the diet. Before you know it, they're not working out right. Before you know it, their mental health is sliding. Before you know it, they make a weird decision. And these are all things where you have to really pace yourself. And I'm just using Jay, but this example is true for every single performer. They all respond differently. We here at Duke City Championship Wrestling, NWA New Mexico, we have, I think, 80 wrestlers we've used over the course of our 2 years. 80 of them.
Wow.
And of those wrestlers, of all the ones I just said, one guy has been on every show. Only one. One pro wrestler in the whole organization has been on every show, and that's Valak Vile. Otherwise, dudes have taken shows off. Dudes have missed shows. and you'll get like whatever the last show is, right? And then you'll get a text, "Hey man, I really want to be back. I want to get back to brother, you missed one show. Like we can't. You're not booked in every scene. like we don't need you for this casting on this one. Like, but that's where these guys are. You know, because some of these guys do respond really well, and you know we're going to get every single time with Valak File, and it's going to be good, and the crowd's going to love it. It's going to be great. And some of these other cats, we still are learning. You know, and I think that's true for the highest level, including the Usos, including all of them. Yeah, see how your performers respond, see how the crowd responds. Tell good stories. We'll tell more stories when we get back from the break. It's going over. 95.9 FM and AM 610. The Sports Animal. Welcome back to Going Over. I, of course, am Freddie Fame. Alongside me is Saleh Taylor. If you were with us on Friday night time of the recording, it's at or near 8:20 in the mountain. It's a big Saturday, not just in the world of pro wrestling, but the world of sports. We're going to talk about that. Thank you for joining us on the terrestrial broadcast from the live chat. Fred, are you going to St. Louis for Backlash? I am not. That is a great question. Obviously, St. Louis is my hometown. I love it dearly. Often I miss it, but that's just a lot. There's like an emotional trip too. This you and I are shoot friends. My dad passed away last summer. And I don't think I need the first time I go home without my dad being there to work a pro wrestling event. That's not Freddie's identity in his hometown. That's not. I don't have any fans from my high school. Like,
you're still Manfred over there.
100%. Yeah. Oh, Randy's kid. Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Oh, hey.
Bro,
great.
You saw him went to Seattle. Like, oh, Solid. Yeah, Tom and Jackie's kid. Yeah.
Okay, got it. It is funny how that works, right? It's funny how that's the different things you are in different places.
Yeah, that's a great way. It's a good thought.
Well, then how, not to get all ranty, but then you have fan bases through things, right? I have fan bases through things. The friends of this show listening right now in their cars, taking their kids to soccer practice, doing whatever on a Saturday morning.
We appreciate you.
100% we do. But they have fans. Their kids are fans of them. Their family are fans of them. Their friends are fans of them. You have all these connections. And it's weird when they don't get each other. It's weird when he's like wrestling fan. Like NCAA Final Four tonight at the time of the airing, right? It is Duke, it is University of Houston, it is Florida, it is Auburn. It's 4 number 1 seeds. It's only ever happened one other time in the history of sports. You know how at least how much I claim I'm good at sports. I'm sitting number 1 in my every bracket pull them in. Every bracket pull them in. Here's the thing. I sat number 1 last year too because I'm really good at this stuff. And I'm not good at sports as a whole, but I'm good at betting against Lobo fan who thinks that mid-majors have a chance in the NIL world. No, they don't. They do not. Let me beat you, everyone around me. But then I talk to wrestling fans, they go, I don't know, Fred, I can't watch the basketball. I got to watch a replay of Hell in the Cell 1998 when at King of the Ring, The Undertaker threw Mankind 16 feet off Hell in the Cell. Yeah, man, you already saw it. Like, why don't you go watch Cooper Flag? Like, you know what to do? Go down to the Albuquerque Museum tonight. Go to the Blue Door Ball. Show up, buy a ticket, support some kids, fund a future, hang out. Do that. Do that thing, Saleh.
Go watch NWA Power back on YouTube right now.
On X right now, too.
On the X. Yeah, baby.
Oh, they got so much good stuff going on.
They are busy.
Van was telling me, Van was watching, Van, my co-host from Two On, he was watching Adventures in Carneyland, and he's like trying to tell me the storylines. I'm like, Van! He's like, man, you could be in this. I'm like, yeah, like, good. Cool.
Oh man,
that stuff is cool, but I don't know. That's not your goal. Your goal's not to. I guess it kind of is. I mean, what are we really doing this for? I just want to pay my mortgage. What is any of this stuff really for?
That's why I'm here too. I just want to pay your mortgage as well. That's why I'm around.
You excited for this Hall of Fame class?
It's cool that they added a match in there.
You like
Uh,
that?
That's a nice little filler. That's them like not wanting to add more unnecessary bit because I'm pretty sure they're getting a little bit of heat from Lex Luger. But it's one of those things where I am still a mark, man. I
Yeah.
still and I have no weight behind whatever I could say, but all I know is everyone that's in the Hall of Fame have paid the dues. They burnt all the rubber from the tires. They've done all they can, sacrifice all they could. I'm happy that they're getting some recognition. I like to avoid the whole these guys should be. Well, this guy should. Like I try to avoid that as much as possible because it's even more so. It's beyond me. So those who are getting their flowers, I'm happy. I'm happy for them because I can't even imagine the level of loneliness and they've gone through, the level of sacrifices that they've had to do, the choices they've had to make. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man, they've probably had the highest highs, but also what comes with that is and are the lowest of lows. You know, there is no real exit strategy to this game, and it's just hold on to it as much as you can and get as much as you can. This business, when you do it right, sure, it gives to you, but it also takes so much more from you.
There's something to be said about the exit plan thing, right?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people would tell you it's feet first. I think a lot of people would tell you that's how you get out. Like even after you get done working or being a part of the industry, right? I heard a really interesting quote. I've quoted about a million times in my professional career from Bob Golick. And what it was is he's a radio broadcaster now. And for years, he played defensive tackle in the NFL. And he was doing his 10th year anniversary of not Bob Golick, that was Saved by the Bell, Mike Golick. I apologize. So Mike Golick was doing the Mike and Mike show on ESPN. It was the 10-year anniversary. And I just happened to catch it because I'm not a huge like mark, for sports talk radio, even though I've worked in it for 20 something years. I'm listening and they said he's interviewing someone and they say to him, "Hey, Mike, you've been in radio now longer than you've been in football."
Hmm.
And he said, "Do you feel like you're a football player or do you feel like you're a broadcaster?" And Mike Golick says without hesitation, he goes, "I'm a football player with a microphone." And he kind of held on to that forever. I
Yeah.
think that's true in the world of pro wrestling, where whenever I talk to individuals from around the country, say other promoters in NWA, like that's what they say, "Are you a worker?" Well, no, I'm not. I'm not a worker. But these are the other things to do because it's a different conversation. You can have different lingo, you can have different connection. And I think even after the last day you take your last bump, like you said, Sully, that's not the end of your pro wrestling days.
Yeah.
Like you're still part of it. And also I think, there's the obvious examples, Ric Flair, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know if everyone knows when they've taken their last bump. I don't know if everyone knows, when they're laying on their back, face up, thanking everyone internally, whenever they got there, that's the last time they were going to do that. I don't think.
Well, until last January, it's been 20 years since I've been in the ring.
Yeah.
I never thought that I would be back in the ring. I thought I took my last bump over 20 years ago. Like, I thought I was done as a kid, as a child. I should not have I should not have been doing stuff. But like it was one of those things that I can kind of do this. I can do a bit, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful for the people that's got me back in, and
Yeah.
and they trust me to continue to do things, and I get to work with some amazing talent. Um, I'm grateful for it. But yeah, like I approach this with a sense of reverence, I guess, or
Mhm.
because I know what it felt like to finish, even though I didn't do much as a kid. But like I know what it felt like to have that, and then move on. But I was young enough that I was able to do other things.
Yeah.
And like I've always been that kind of guy that I got many, like, my life is like a kitchen. I got many things cooking. I got many things prepping. I got many things ready to be sold. But it's just different dishes at different times, different courses. Am I on my main course for wrestling right now? Maybe. And will I be done with this? Cool. If so, I'm grateful for the time.
Yeah.
But the way I was taught, you give back and you make sure that the next one can go. That's why Rikishi, when he opened up his school, Knox Pro with Reno, or the Black Pearl, when they opened up their school, because they knew that they were phasing out. And he couldn't hit that schedule like he used to. I'ma just set up for the next generation, just like Uncle Alfonseca. When they were phasing out physically, they opened up their Wild Samoan Pro Wrestling Academy. And then Cody Rhodes, who never thought he'd be back in WWE, he opened up the Nightmare Factory.
Right. And trains them, puts them out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something said about roles, and Hall of Famer is a role, and Hall of Famer, which, is kind of how we got to this point, is not brick and mortar in this moment. I do believe they have like a plan for that. Mm-hmm. But Triple H, who's already in there as a member of DX, I think he's in there as a member of Evolution, so now he's in there solo. And then Lex Luger, who you mentioned, who is a little bit controversial because of his life decisions, mm-hmm. and not just the harm he caused himself, but the harm that he caused others. And I think that's a real thing. And then Michelle McCool, obviously, was a worker for a long time, and obviously pretty well known outside of the world of pro wrestling. And her
also helping put together the helping be part of the women's revolution.
Yep.
Breaking away from the diva stuff. Yeah.
And then the Natural Disasters, which I think a lot of people would have maybe not have thought it would have been on this ballot that they'd be in, but great that they are, because not just big physically, but big was their impact. And you were talking a lot about legacy and time spent, but I think time is actually based off impact. I think time is based off the number of individuals that you're able to have remember you. And by remember, I don't mean specifically your name, Sale Taylor. I mean, there is a kid who has come to NWA New Mexico and has seen you perform for the first time. And 20 years from now, they're going to retell the story of this guy that they hated. And it's you, and that's the coolest. That's the coolest. And that's what the National Disasters were, at a period. Yeah. They were so big and they were so memorable. But there's a bunch of names out there that still aren't in. I know you said you don't necessarily want to mention it, but I think if you're a big fan of like Demolition, I think right now you're a little confused. They held the title for like over a year, tag titles. They were a thing. There's guys who, obviously wore multiple characters and presented different, but guys like Kamala, Kamala still not in the Hall of Fame, and was like a huge part of wrestlers from that same kind of timeline and era that we're talking about. And he hasn't gotten the opportunity. I know you're a big Victoria fan. Like there are just some of these people that you think would be in, especially in Vegas, the Fontainebleau, there's a ton of room to do this kind of thing. And I'm not saying it's wrong that these people aren't in. I mean, maybe they're just too fringy, but how is Mickie James not a Hall of Famer that's currently working? Like to me, that's kind of crazy, because I think she's as big of a deal as this industry's ever seen. Ever.
Her obsessive psycho chick is still one of my favorite gimmicks. That storyline with her and Trish, still so like the character from that, the work from that, the choices they yeah.
Well, and, I was joking earlier about the 1998 King of the Ring and blah, blah, blah. And, that was with Hell in a Cell and all that stuff. Ken Shamrock won that. Like, why don't you're going to tell me Ken Shamrock doesn't deserve to have like a Hall of Fame conversation? Because I think he does. I think.
Yeah.
And then, there's this one. I mean, this one's obviously post-mortemously, but, the Wyatt family. It's like, do you want to give like Bray Wyatt an opportunity to be celebrated? Luke Harper obviously was in that, and Brody Lee no longer obviously with us anymore either. So, would it be just Eric Rowan and then, the families that supported and that would be a really cool moment too. I mean, maybe Vegas isn't the time and place for that. I don't know that, but where's WrestleMania next year? New Orleans?
Yeah.
It could work there. But there's a bunch of them, and I think that's the best part when you're talking about like award stuff, because I'm not the biggest fan of just shows or list of things, but I am a big fan of consideration, and I think if you're going to consider a Lex Luger and the natural disasters, I think anyone on that list that I just gave you is, should definitely be up for consideration.
It's funny that you're bringing up the whole Impact. John Tenta, who was just
good note.
Every time you hear stories about him away from the ring, he was like the total opposite of Haku, of King Tonga, where John Tenta, who was just the gentle giant and like very soft spoken. But I remember as a kid freaking out when he had that he had a quick feud with Hogan, and then he did like the earthquake and the sitting on him and Hogan coughing up color. Like I remember being traumatized from that. That's like lasting impact that I'm more than happy to share with the younger generation, my nephews and nieces and stuff like that, because like that's a lasting impression. For the first time as they're adding a match into the Hall of Fame.
The Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah, the no disqualification submission, and it was Ken Shamrock. You remember was
special ref.
Yeah, special ref, and that was WrestleMania 13.
I think so.
And a lot of people, like you just said, would say that was the best double turn in the history of the industry.
Agreed. It also that iconic photo of Stone Cold when the sharpshooters on him, and the which helped legitimize the whole Attitude Era. Like the trajectory of wrestling was that match was integral to that.
Well, and it changed how wrestling was done forever moving forward. Whenever we donned in NWA New Mexico Duke City Championship Wrestling, whenever we donned our first champion, Thunder, that was in a ladder match, and it was a 3-way ladder match, and it was, it was a 2-way between Turbo Tony and Hobo Hank. Turbo Tony the heel, Hobo Hank the face, and these two individuals going against each other for the championship. And then Tom Foolery, Thunder, inserts himself into the match, and we do a Thunder becomes heel from a face position, and Turbo Tony becomes face from a heel position. And never would we have even attempted that thing if this didn't exist beforehand. We've seen it done. We thought we could do it to that level. No, Sully, we were not to that level. But the idea that we gave it a shot because we saw it. We saw it the same time everyone else did. WrestleMania 13.
It's so important how we can tell stories, but the biggest part of that a lot of shows like take for granted, the crowd. They have to be ready for that. They have to be with you. They have to be buying into it enough that, hey, if you trust us to tell this way, if you trust us that like this, we let this match happen the way it's going to happen, you won't be disappointed. And
do you think
you think Sting's going to induct Lex Luger?
I'm wondering.
I know that they're talking.
He's got a Legends contract with AEW.
That is a conversation with Tony and Paul. Do you think they're going to be talking like that?
I mean, I'm not saying I know that they will, but I tell you, in my time in the world of pro wrestling, this whole thing is communication.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't believe anyone of actual snuff at all has a problem with anyone else. I might be wrong. I might be reading the room completely wrong. But I think
CM Punk came back.
That's what I'm saying.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible.
Conan inducted Rey Mysterio. Conan was there. That's still insane.
He was awesome.
Anything's possible.
Let's go to
Well,
break. Whenever we get back, we wrap up the program. It's been fun spending a Saturday morning with you. You're listening to Going Over. 95.9 FM and AM 610. The Sports Animal. Welcome back to the program. Welcome back to Going Over. I, of course, am Fred Slow. Alongside me is Sally Taylor. We're talking the world of pro wrestling. We're talking the world of sport. Big night in pro wrestling. Phase 1 pro wrestling is here in town. They're doing it over at the Shriners. Is that right? Doing it over at the Shriners?
Shriners venue, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's pretty sweet.
Really excited for them.
I agree.
New Mexico's first casket match.
Where'd they get the casket?
I don't know. I hope it's not recycled, man.
They did not get a used casket, you idiot.
Unless it went to the family that got it through Costco, because buy one get another one for free. Apparently, you get a casket. You get a casket.
It's at the Shriners Banquet Hall. Doors 6:30. Bell at 7. So there you go. That'll be a lot of fun. I can't make it. I wish I could make it.
I'm trying to see if I can make it.
Get the Boys and Girls Club Gala tonight. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to raise a bunch of money for the club, which, is my actual passion. And afterwards, I'm going to celebrate that. So that'll be good. So yeah, I won't make it.
Nothing wrong with that, man. But I'm excited for pro wrestling back in New Mexico, man. The stage is big enough for everyone to get to shine.
Oh, 100%.
How
much shine do you need?
More. But getting more people a chance to be seen. Also, a lot of people coming back that are Albuquerqueians are really excited to see. I'm so excited for the show. I'm so excited for everyone involved. It's going to be a great show.
I'll tell you, it's really going to be good for is the crowd.
Yep.
Because I had a fan of Duke City Championship Wrestling say to me not long ago, a couple months ago. They go, "You guys always do 8 matches?" Like, yeah, I mean, we got a TV show. I'm like trying to walk them through the thing. They're like, "Oh, it's just kind of predictable. You're gonna have 8 matches." I go, "Well,
yeah,
okay, yeah,
thank you.
You got me." Didn't mean to. Didn't mean to be so predictable. But that's the thing. If you had to go and, see other promotions and see what they're doing and, do really good at that, that to me is awesome. Because not does everyone here in New Mexico specifically, you can't go to 4 different promotions, 4 different weekends in a row. We just don't have it like that right now. We will.
Can't wait.
I saw that theater on First and Central's up for sale, the Century 14. I'm just going to go buy that. That's my plan. I'm going to turn it into a WrestlePlex. You think I'm joking? I'm going to go buy that. I'm going to put in golf simulators and wrestling. That's my plan.
I lived behind that theater. And many a time I would just do a marathon. I called it, and pay for one and watch 4 movies.
Just sneak throughout them all.
Yeah, just watch it. But they all knew me. It's like, "Hey, Sally, yeah, go to the next one." Yeah, see ya. Thank you.
That's so funny.
That. Oh man, this town is changing. Oh, their times they're changing.
How much space do you really need? If you were going to build like a wrestle center, what do you really need? 1,000-person venue would be great, right? That's your number.
Yeah.
You get 1,000-person venue. Then you figure out a way to use that space for everything else, all other types of entertainment, and if every Thursday it's medieval times in there, whatever, we'll make that work too. But I don't know if pro wrestling has the pull to be a standalone, at least not in a high traffic. You know what I mean? We're talking like realistic. We're not talking like a barn out in the middle of nowhere. We're talking like a destination.
Well, like let's say how there's the Powerplex, there's the Performance Center. One side is an actual training grounds for the talent, the athletes, and then the other side is a sound stage where they do all the taping and stuff like that. But those are brands that people knows what's going on. But a place that will be a fitness /training gym, and then another side of it, which would be a venue for our shows, but like catered to the taping. So like, yeah, we'll have the hard cam side, and then three
Yeah.
three sides where people can sit.
I mean, I hear you.
But like, is that what you want, or do you want this to grow to fill out 1,000-person venue, and that would also have a gym connected to it somehow? that like also would have a New Mexico pro wrestling, mixed martial arts, museum for academics, like trying to fit as many possible ways you can diversify said venue, said place, so that more people can go in for different reasons. That would be a really cool thing to pull off. Yeah, sure. One day it's a wrestling place. The next day, sure, we got a film studio, a film project, filming stuff through it, utilizing it for something. Move the ring out, and they'll have a safe space.
Well, it's it's Shakespeare, right? That's what pro wrestling is. Pro wrestling is Shakespeare. So it's like, what product can you put in front of in 360 degrees of fandom that will be successful?
Yes.
The obvious answer is Shakespeare, but then, as you move forward, it's all kinds of things, right? Is it presentations? Is it observations? Is it outside of just theater? Is it performance? Is it dance, or is it signature events? Is it like I'm not trying to sound weird. Is it like a huge billiards thing? Is it a huge tabletop tennis thing? Is it a huge what's the one, pickleball thing? Is it sports?
Well, like just like how we could move the ring in and out, we can move other things in and out. A place for quinceañeras.
Yeah.
And then a place for table tennis tournaments.
No, I tell you what, though, you're going down a slippery path, because you're going to end up, because how weddings are, you're going to end up just having a wedding venue because they make so much money. And before you know it, we can't do pro wrestling on this weekend because we already got a wedding booked, and you're like, I'm in it for the money. This sucks.
I was like, how about y'all have the ceremony, the reception, before doors opening at 6?
Once you figure that out.
As can you just like, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, Mr. and Mrs. I'm just hearing people taking bumps and stuff. That I'm telling you, like, anything is possible if you if you just lay it out right enough. And
you go, anything's possible if you think and act like a pro wrestling promoter. Like, oh yeah, no, that tracks. That's super true.
Speaking of Carney, man, like I'm telling you, anything's possible.
How about Rotary meetings? Like, that's okay, yeah.
Off-site HOA meetings for Joe.
Hi and hello and welcome to NWA New Mexico Duke City Championship Wrestling's WrestleTopia. We're excited to have you here for bingo tonight.
Hey,
we should be awesome. We should go to a bingo. We should go in gimmick to a bingo.
I'm with it.
Like, and I'm super babyface and you're not, and we just sit at the opposite ends of the room and just berate each other. That's pro, whatever the thing is. All right, Nate, like, what is a thing people go to, right? Like 90s party, right? 80s party.
Yeah.
We're throwing those, but they're always 80s pro wrestling party, 90s pro wrestling.
Bro.
Hey, adult prom. Pro
Rock and,
wrestling.
rock and wrestling prom, bro. I'm playing Cyndi Lauper all night.
It's
Playing.
you know how some people do like 5Ks on Thanksgiving or whatever. No, we're doing watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade pro wrestling. Like that's the vision of this thing. Come and just get, and you'd have to work on your material all the time, and almost would be improv.
Oh well, yeah. It would literally not be the same show every time.
Could not be.
You know, you have a what's that mystery dinner thing?
Oh, like murder mystery dinners. We're doing
Murder
that
mystery,
too.
yeah.
Pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the lights go out. Someone takes a bump. Everyone's back outside. Who took that bump?
The lights go out. You just hear the glass break.
You hear the bell. Bong.
12 of them. People are like twiddling their thumbs at the end.
Purple light out of nowhere. Atmosphere coming up. Bro, this is great, man. Anything's possible.
The new Switch comes out. We're doing Mario Kart parties. Pro wrestling.
Pro wrestling. They're just driving around the ring, though.
That's not wrong. You know, and then you're doing one where it's like every time you, all right, so yeah, do you remember college? Oh, we only have a minute left. Okay. We do need to explore this further, but we can't because there's not enough. We're doing
two scoops, man. I'm with it. Let's do this.
We're doing we're doing a WrestleMania watch party. You can join Duke City Championship Wrestling NWA New Mexico. That is April the 19th and 20th. That's over at the Uptown Sports Bar. Come hang out with us. If you'd like to hang out with us, watching pro wrestling, lots of fun giveaways, trivias, and the like. Thank you for hanging out with us today. Saleh, final words, brother?
I'm grateful for you. Thank you so much.
Oh, that was short and quick, and I'm surprised. For Saleh Taylor, for myself, Fred Slow. Good job, everyone. Keep breathing.